Hi, Richard.
Hi, Yvonne. How are
Thank
you?
you. Good. Thanks for joining me on my podcast, Not
Yep.
Nosy, Just Curious.
Not nosy, just curious. What? That just is
What a
it's
title,
different.
right?
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
And here's what I want. I have found that a lot of guys that I ask have an answer to this question. Women don't.
Okay.
In your life, what has there been one person, one man, one person that was kind enough to give you a break, give you a chance, believe in you?
hmm
Who is that person for you?
I think it was my father.
Really? Explain. I mean, what did he
Well,
do?
I think my mom and dad grew up in during the 30s, 40s, 50s, obviously, but they never went to college. They never did any of those things. They just worked hard. And my father never pushed me to do anything other than to be happy and to pursue the things that I enjoyed doing, sports and going to school. And when it became time to make a choice between going to college, starting a starting going out on my own, he decided that he allowed me to work with him. And it was interesting because it's hard to work with your family alone, and you always want your father, or of course your brothers and sisters, to be proud of you. So I think he gave me a chance to work with him, and I enjoyed it. We were mechanics, and he had a shop, and it worked really well for many, many years. So it was kind of nice.
So your dad was the guy who believed in you and gave you the chance.
Yes, because he wasn't one of those rah rah hard tough guys. He was a very soft, mild guy, but he gave me the confidence that I was going to be successful, and he accepted uh, uh, me getting married at a young age and having children, and that was probably, for him, he was very happy.
Did you realize at the time, Richard, what a remarkable man your dad was? Or are you realizing that later on? Like, no.
Probably later on, because when I heard all the stories and all the things that he went through as a young man, um, I think he had a very good life. He had my grandma, grandpa were very foreign. They came right from Yugoslavia, so they hardly spoke English. So he had to navigate that. And then, growing up in Detroit, it was probably not that it was hard, but I think he had a very good circle of friends, different Italians and
Mhm,
Yugoslavians, and,
mhm.
and they all got along. And he used to tell me stories how they all lived on the same block on Tennessee and Algonquin down in east side of Detroit. And he said many times they all slept on each other's porches. The doors were always open, and each parent kind of supervised, the kids. So it was nice. It was kind of an interesting way to grow up.
So, do you think at the time, I mean, you talk about your dad as being a very gentle man and very soft spoken,
Yes,
and to go forth, my son, and be happy,
yes,
which
yes.
really wasn't a form of discipline when we were growing up. I
No,
mean,
no,
you had to
no,
go
no.
and you had to be better than the man they were.
Especially after the war, after World War II, and if your father happened to be in the war, as he came home, and he had to obviously he had difficulties to adjusting back to life, uh, not fighting, and
Hmm.
and it's hard. If your father was in the war, he probably came back and he had a different look on life, and he was a little tougher on you, and he wasn't the father he was when he went into the war. So it was my dad. He wanted to go into the war, but they didn't accept him. He had medical issues. So I think that maybe bothered him as he got older, because many of his friends were, they fought, and I think those things bother you as a man.
So, as you reflect, this man was the man who believed in you, who gave
Yes,
you chances,
yes.
who inspired you.
Yes, and he would come home from work as a young boy and play catch with me, and take me to my. Ba- he would not so much take me to my baseball games, but he gave me the idea that I could succeed in whatever sports or in life itself.
Oh,
Because
okay.
back then, going to school was really important for you and I. Of course, we had to go to college,
Mhm.
and you know, as you get older, you realize, you know, it's not about the college; it's about your experience and how you handle things.
Do you wish you could have had a chance to tell him, uh,
Yes,
do you?
yes.
Do
Oh
you?
God, he was very like he was a very quiet man, and it was very hard for him to show emotions. You know,
Mhm.
you always want your father to hug you and kiss you and give you that confidence. And Dad was very shaking hands was hard for him.
Really?
Yeah.
So, are you half the man your father was?
Oh, I'm probably a quarter of a man. You know.
Really?
Yeah, he was just he was the kind of guy that everybody aspired. You know, Emil. He was just one of those guys, and the grandkids loved him, and all of the family always wanted Emil to be there at the functions because he was just that guy. You know, he made you feel good.
Well, that's nice
Yes,
that that was your person,
yes,
because I've asked a lot of guys and they all have a person, you
yes.
know, they
Well,
all
there
have
was there
someone
was
who believes.
people there was people that that awful that influenced me, but not like that. I mean, the other ones were, they had some of them had uh, their own agendas, so it was kind of, yeah. I try to navigate through that.
So do you think the mechanic thing was a path you picked just because your dad afforded you the
Yeah,
privilege?
it was probably, silly. Everybody, it was probably the easiest path. I got married very young, and I had to make a choice. Vietnam War was going on, and you didn't know what was going to happen, whether you're going to get drafted. So, not that I got married to stay out of the war. I got married because, when you're young, that's what you did when in that time you got married and started your family. So I was only 21 years old. So it was. I'd like to see kids nowadays do that, but
No,
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 it doesn't happen.
no. It shouldn't have happened when you did it. And I did.
No, 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 no,
No, no.
no, no.
That's, if you knew then what you know now,
Oh yeah,
that's hindsight 2020.
yes,
But
yes.
I find it very respectable that you give your dad that your dad was the man that gave you
Yes,
and
quietly
believe
he was the man. I'm sure. I look at it. I've got photos of him. M- my my son has many photos of him at his house, of course, with other grandparents. But it's just interesting to see him in his mechanic outfit, and I lived that life with him for almost 22 years. So it was,
every day you were there at work with your dad
yep, every
every day.
day. Every day.
Well,
So
that's
following, what, kind of looking at him and seeing how he handled the daily routine of being a business owner and a mechanic. I thought, boy, if I could have been like him, um, it would have been nice. But I had back then I was a little younger and I had a little more different type of attitude. So I think now if I could go back, I things would be a little different.
really. I mean,
Yeah.
like, did you ever challenge your dad as a young man?
He the only no, no, it's funny because there was a point in time, when Dad would not challenge me. He never was physical with me. But we used to arm wrestle, and as a young man, I'd arm wrestle him. As I got stronger, I could, I could tell that, I was stronger than him. And so he let me, I let him win because I didn't want him to feel bad.
Oh, please. Now,
Yes.
now you have sons. Now, do you
Yes.
think you have been that man to your
Mm,
sons?
I don't. Yes, I do. In a way, I think that because they do tell me, they do say that they've picked up a lot of things from Grandpa because of me. And I said,
Mhm.
well, I think that although being a father, you try to be a little harder. You try to show them a path that you didn't take, but I think all in all, if you teach them the right things and you show them right from wrong and how to respect people, that they find their way and then they end up being good people. And both my kids are solid citizens, so I'm happy.
That's nice. That's very nice.
Yes.
Do you Do you think you parented differently than your dad did?
Yes, yes, because it was. I think at that time you were always trying to get ahead, trying to do better, trying to, you know, not so much make money, but somehow your success was based on how much money you have. And my dad wasn't like that. He was very happy with his small little house in St. Clair Shores, and um, he was happy gardening in the backyard, cutting his grass. He was a very private, and he enjoyed coming home and just sweeping the garage. So
I think that's interesting you say that, because I think that's generational. I think
yes,
our parents, like my dad, it wasn't about making a lot of money, but it was about owning things. Like he paid off his home. Those were
yes,
things that were important. Yet our generation was so busy spending and
spending and
acquiring
acquiring and more cars and
and
more
getting
houses
and
and
getting more debt, more debt, more debt. And I think the generation of today, our children, are a little more conservative that way.
yes. Well, you try to tell them, you try to teach them by not so much our mistakes, because we do, we do have, we do have many times that we've made mistakes, but you try to just show the kids that, there's a different way to do things. You don't have to always follow in your parents' footsteps. You don't have to,
But it
do the
wouldn't be
things
a
that we
bad
did.
thing, Richard, for us to follow in our parents' footsteps. Like I
Oh,
said, my dad,
oh,
if it was a 90-hour work week, he worked it, and
yes.
he paid off things. I mean, there
Yep.
was no charge card debt, none of that.
Nope.
But real estate, he paid it off. You know what
Yes.
I
That's
mean?
how,
Where
yes.
our generation's so busy refinancing and
Oh,
remortgaging and that
yeah. What's
we're
the new
never,
car? I've got
yeah,
to have this car. I got to have this TV. I got to have this phone. And I thought, ugh, you know,
yeah. So I mean,
I'm very happy. I think I still have some of the clothes I purchased 25 years ago.
but did you take care of them? Obviously, you took care of
Yes,
your stuff.
yes. You just kind of, those are the things. I mean, I just, I don't know why. I think that's just the way it is. I'm not a wanting person, so it doesn't matter.
So was it? But that wasn't because your dad was wired that way. You just
Mhm.
became that way given your age. There's nothing
Yes,
left to want or need.
no, not at all.
Right.
Not
So
at all.
it wasn't through example at that point, because
No.
sadly we came up in this
Yeah.
generation of acquisitions.
Well, I think nowadays it's interesting because I watch my little grandson. I'm thinking, God, what is it going to be like in 20 years? Because he is at 5 years old, he's more advanced than I am with a phone. And I'm thinking, holy moly, it's interesting how, and you have to accept it that this is the way the world goes around.
It is. It is. It's a different intellect.
Yes.
I mean, our maybe our genius was, I don't know, mine, but maybe yours was somewhere else in sports or problem solving or something, where theirs is
Yes.
very te-
Yes.
technical.
That
Yeah,
is.
I mean, it's amazing how smart
Yep.
they are.
Yes. Yes.
That's wonderful. So, if you could do anything different, what would you do?
If I could do anything different, I'd probably go to college.
Why? What would you study in college?
I don't know.
How would that advance your life?
Um, I don't think it would advance my life, but it would make me feel satisfied that I accomplished something and I had the stick to itness to actually finish school. I mean, I did. I went to Macomb College
Hmm.
back in the 69, 70, 71, that area. And I was studying law enforcement because I thought that's my path in life. And
Well, that was a big part of your life.
yes, I mean my stepfather was a police officer, and all of my family were military, so I felt the need to kind of do something that was macho, and I just
Hmm.
then I realized that's that wasn't me, so I decided to go to work with my father, or he accepted me, and then it worked out just fine. I raised two wonderful boys, and I was
Were
very
you
happy.
ever were you ever I know you played ball. Were you ever disappointed that you couldn't be the superstar ball player?
I didn't realize back then I was pretty good.
That's what I'm saying. You thought you were pretty good. Did you
Yeah.
actually? I mean, was that the pipe dream? One day I'm going to play professional.
Yeah, a little bit. I thought, oh gosh, because that was back in the late '60s. I thought, maybe I can be a ball player. And back then, it wasn't about money. It was about actually, being on a
Right.
team. But I was a pitcher, and I ended up, hurting my throwing arm, and I couldn't play anymore. So it was like, okay, so I had to find a different path in life.
Okay, so that was kind of ripped away from you. But
Yeah,
were you competitive, highly competitive?
yes.
You know, you had
Yes.
this very gentle, mild-mannered father. You
Yes.
still had this competitive spirit.
Yes, yeah, I tried football, and I played basketball in high school, and baseball, and I was very competitive. And
Really?
oh yeah,
So you play to win.
I played to win. Yes.
Really? I mean, are you like that in everything? I mean, if you play a board
No, now my kids nowadays know, because I don't. It's important, but it's not that important. I enjoy playing golf, or on bowling, or doing
but
whatever.
I hear you're a
Yeah.
very good golfer. So are you very competitive?
Yes, I am, but to a point where it's not the end all, the be all. I enjoy playing, and sometimes I play very well. I was very good when I was young.
So do you think you've lost a skill set because your age has dictated,
Yes.
slowed you down a
Yeah.
little bit?
It's natural. You lose that nerve, you lose that little touch, and so you just kind of accept the fact that as you get older, there are certain things that you're not as good at. So you just kind of take that with a grain of salt, and just move on.
So modified your game according to your
Yes.
limitations.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
But
okay.
that's okay. That's all right.
Do
That's
you
not
golf competitively? Are you on a
no,
team?
no, never did. I played in high
Never.
school, played on a high school team. At that moment, I wasn't good enough to be on the first team, but it was fun, uh, doing something in high school, and after school activity that you felt like, oh, this is important. When you get older, you realize nobody on the high school cared about your stupid golf team.
Now, do you wish later in life you could have became a professional golfer?
I thought I was gonna be a golfer, or not so much a golfer. I thought maybe a bowler. I was very good bowling, but
So it's all
these
kind of the same, the
yeah, it's
swinging
that
the bat, the swinging the
it's
club, the
swinging,
throwing.
same
It's
skill
the
set,
same kind of action. Yeah.
the hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
So but as I obviously I wasn't nowhere near good enough to compete at a professional level. So that's okay.
But you knew that. But
Yeah, oh, yeah,
you wanted to be professional.
absolutely. But you don't.
So you never wanted to be like a professional ballerina or
No,
anything like that. So nothing like that. Always
no,
just you
no,
stayed in the sports arena. Then.
no, nope. I think back then, and
Now, if let
nowadays,
me ask you, your dad is such a supportive man. If you would have came to him back in the '60s and said, I think I really like this ballet dancing, I'm going to do that. Would he
yeah,
have supported that?
I think he would have. I think he would have, with a little bit of behind the door saying, "What the hell's wrong with my son?"
Well, but back then it wasn't done. But I
No.
mean, if your boy said to you, Dad, I think I really like coloring and coloring books, and that's the path I want to take. I want to be a professional coloring book colorer. Would you
Yeah.
have endorsed that, or would you said, hell no, you got to get a regular job?
No, I think I would have. I would have half endorsed it. I think.
Would you have? I mean, because we grew up kind of supporting whatever your children want to do, support
Right,
it.
right.
Good job. We grew up with everybody gets a trophy mentality.
Yeah, that's
Now
it.
they're
Everybody.
changing that. They're
Yes.
changing
Now,
it now.
that's right.
So, I mean, but
you're
that
gonna
was
get your trophy on your merit, on your play.
yes,
Not on your,
yes.
well, I'm on the team, and my mom and dad are paying the bills, so
I get a trophy.
I'm
Yeah.
going to get a chance to play too. So, I don't like that. I think you just get a chance by your skills and by,
Now you were a hockey father. Now, did you ever get mad if the coach didn't put your kid in?
oh,
And
yeah,
you
yes.
did?
Yeah. Oh, well,
So
of
you were a
course.
bad parent.
yeah. You always wanted your son to, be on the first line or the second line or be part of the game. You didn't want him sitting on the bench and just being part of the team and never, being active in the game. But no, I was lucky enough. Matthew, my older boy, was good enough where he was able to, as he got older, he was a very good player. So he got a chance to play at a real high level. So it was kind of fun to watch that progression.
But I mean, do you think be the best player on the worst team or be the worst player on the best team? You're still
I
on
think
the team.
it happens. You play through the years. Your kids are always on good and bad teams, and it's kind of interesting because I'd rather see him be a good player on a good team.
Ideally.
Yes.
Ideally. But I mean, if he's on a really good team and he's on the fourth line, are you like a pissy parent? Like, how come they're not playing my son?
Yes, because it's also attitude. If your kid has is a very high, he has a high drive, then the coaches sometimes that's not the type of players that they like on their team. They like players that just fall in line and listen to what their instructions are. So I had years where Matthew was it was very hard because he just was a different kind of player. He was exciting to watch, but sometimes the coaches weren't appreciative of his skills.
Okay, but it is a team. Was he part
Yes,
of the
that's
team, or
what
was
they
he?
said. This is a team game and blah blah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, okay, I get it. So, but it all worked out in the end. He got his opportunity, and I'm proud of him. So,
Well, good. Do you think the sports paves a path for manhood?
yes. I
You do.
think all those, all my children, all the coaches they had, because they each have different ways of teaching them, and some are very hard, and some are soft, and they kind of, were able to take some of those instructions and some of that experiences and use it in their life, in their adult
Yeah,
life.
yeah, I agree with that.
They give them structure. They have to
Yeah.
be there on time. They have to be at practice. They have to be accountable for what they're
Right.
doing.
There's a behavior that they
Yeah.
have to abide by. Yeah, I
Yes.
can't be a jerk. I believe that.
I
I believe
agree.
that. And you see that a lot of military guys too. Whatever principles they learned through their military career, they execute their whole life. So you can always.
Yeah.
So I think sports is a real good foundation to learn to be nice and play nice with others.
I agree.
All right, Richard, let's close this up. Give me something very, very, very profound in closing.
I think we should all just be not all. I think take our experience, take the lessons you learn from your parents, and try to formulate your ideas, and then you instill that on your children. Hopefully, they will instill it on their kids, and in the future, we'll have a little better world to live in.
I like that. Okay. All right, my friend, will you do this again with me?
Heck yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Next time we'll talk about when you were the male dancer. Okay.
I was a male dancer, and that didn't work out too.
Save that story for next time.
You got it.
All right. See ya.
Thanks, Yvonne. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.